I think the thing that's really stood out for me about today's Street Games conference is that everybody is talking about insight, and they're not just talking about the data, they're talking about it in quite a different way. So using insight as a way to really get under the skin of why people do what they do, not just thinking about the reasoning process, but thinking about the heart, why we make those unconscious decisions. I think grassroots sport is the most important thing in the sporting system. If you look at what touches most people, it's the sport they do literally on their doorstep, the stuff they play, and making sure that people in disadvantaged communities, particularly young people, have access to something that really suits them, that they want to do, that they find welcoming and inviting is incredibly important. I don't think there is anything that's more important. I think the really key thing that Street Games does is it acts as a voice for disadvantaged communities. If it wasn't for Street Games, I think it would be very easy for us to look across the socio-economic groups and say, the lower ones are really tough, so let's focus up here. I hope we wouldn't do that, but because Street Games is there, there is no danger that we will do that. And I think that they've also really got under the skin of those communities, and doorstep sport has been really evolved with young people in mind who don't have much money, who really want better lives very often, but are struggling to get them. And it's critical that they get good sporting opportunities. I think probably the biggest challenge is low-cost opportunities, and I mean really low cost. So the report today that the average family spends just £3 a week on grassroots type sport activity, we've got to make it so cheap. And the trouble is, it can't just be cheap when it's subsidised. It's got to be cheap all the time, year in, year out. My wish would be to find the formula for that, to keep it really cheap and really accessible. Well, I think Street Games has done a fantastic job in levering in other people's money, so commercial funding. I think, though, there's something about where is the oldie? Where's the little for sport? You know, in supermarkets, we've got a great low-cost offer because people are really counting the pennies. I don't think sport is that good at thinking in that way. I think Street Games might be the thing that comes up with the idea.